Once you have your object cut out of the background, what we're going to do is explore some different ways of processing this image to create a more pop art-like effect, sort of inspired by Andy Warhol. The very first thing I want you to keep in mind is that over on your layers here, you always want to keep this shoe as a separate layer. The shoe original stays. You never change this layer, you never modify it. That's the one you want to do. So I'm actually going to lock that layer just so that I know that I can't modify it. That's a good thing. Now that it's recorded, I want to make an exact duplicate of this layer. I can do that in a few different ways. You could go up on your layers little menu here. There's a tiny little button up here that has these lines with an arrow. And if I click that, it'll pull up a menu and I can actually click duplicate layer that way. And it gives me this thing where it says, you know, what I could call it. So I could call this shoe 1. I can change the name of my layers at any time. I'm going to unlock this layer. It automatically, when I duplicated it, automatically kept the lock thing, but I don't want to have that happen because I want to be able to edit this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some processing. The first thing I'm going to do is go up to Filter, and then Adjustments, and then Threshold. What Threshold does is it changes this particular object into either black or white. There is no gray tones, there is only black and white. So you can slide the slider to explore sort of the contrast. I get this sort of cool texture if I pull it down, and if I go more to the right I can get a more solid black. I'm going to play around with this one where I have the texture. I'm going to hit OK. So right there you have a nice high contrast image. So what I could do next, if I wanted to just bring in some sort of color or play around with this a little bit more, is go up to my blending modes where it says normal. We've used these before, and I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on one of the blending modes. I'm going to try multiply. So now you can see that it's brought in the photograph of the shoe, which is on the bottom layer, the shoe original, and now they're blending together to have this one. Let me show you without. That's the shoe without. That's the shoe with the threshold layer turned on multiply. I'm going to rename my layer that has the threshold applied to it. I'm going to call this shoe threshold. And that's just going to remind me, as you all know, that you can develop a lot of layers when you're working in Photoshop, and it can be really hard to find something. So I want to make sure that I keep track of everything that I'm doing. So there's the threshold. That's a possibility, a way to explore. I could also experiment with other settings. You guys are welcome to play around to get whatever you want. I kind of liked that color burn one. What I'm going to do now is make another copy of my shoe original. I don't want to make a copy of the threshold layer because it looks like this. I want the one with the color in it. So I'm going to go up to here, up to this little menu, and I'm going to click duplicate layer. This one I'm going to call this shoe color change, and I'll show you why in a minute. First thing I have to do is unlock it because the original was locked. And now what I'm going to do is go up, I'm going to hide my shoe threshold for a moment so that I can just see my shoe color change. And what I'm going to do now is go up to the Enhance menu. I'm going to go to Adjust Color, and then I'm going to select Adjust Hue Saturation. Hue is a synonym for the word color. So when you get this, I like to slide it out of the way so I can see what I'm doing to my image. This is really fun because you can actually now start to shift the color of your shoe to something else, or whatever your object is. Now with a Converse it's not as funny because, you know, Converse come in pretty much any color. So this may not, you know, be the best thing for that, but I can still manipulate the color. I can change, if I boost the saturation, that affects it. I can make it, I wouldn't play around with the lightness too much. But if I hit OK, and I turn my multiply layer back on, my shoe threshold layer back on that has the color burn on it, now I've got this purple shoe. I definitely want to make sure that I save this project so I don't lose any of the work I've done. So I'm going to go up to File and Save As. And then I'm going to make sure this is my Converse shoe pop art. And yes, you want it to be a Photoshop file, a PSD. That's the default when you have layers. We want to keep the layers. So I'm going to hit save. And now I can continue to work. I'll show you some more effects in another video.